What is going on, everyone? Welcome back along to the Super Rugby preview, returning after the international window in June. We are back with round 17 of the competition, and just to mix things up, today we're going to do things just a little bit differently for today's episode. See what you guys think about it. Let me know in the comments what you think of the episode first and foremost. But before we get into the games, to the picks and the selections and reasons, we're going to first have a look at the two things we always kick off the episode with. One, yellow cards. Two, of course, SuperBru leaderboard. So I could not leave that stuff out before we got into the episode. So let's go over those things first. Yellow cards, we'll get them up nice and early to see where we sit. And going into round 17, in 2017, we sat with 136 at this point of the competition. This year, however, we sit with just 74 yellow cards. We're also down on red cards as well overall. So the real big thing we're taking out of this season, kind of against what most people thought was going to happen, is cards, as we've seen all season long, have been following way under the trend of 2017, which is interesting, really remarkable considering the changes in rules, the crackdown on anything head and neck, and all those sorts of things going into the season. It all led to the head and neck and that sort of area, and yellow cards being a lot higher than previous seasons. So that's a really interesting point to start us off. But let's see why we are really here to kick it off with is SuperBru and the leaderboard, which after 16 rounds sits a little bit like this, as you can see on screen. Now we have, well, a leader, well and truly a leader, and he's going to be featuring on today's preview show as well. But first things first, let's have a look at the leaderboard. The Driving Mall still sits number one on that table. Now, it's up to you guys to stop him, to be fair. Antipodal 49 sits in second. I'm looking at you. Owen Davis has dropped down a spot from second. Those two have swapped places, and Owen sits now in third position. But I look at those two sitting on 90 points exactly as Owen and Antipodal sitting on 90.25. They are over a point behind Paul from the Driving Mall. So we need him to have a really, really bad week. And some of you guys sitting further down the leaderboard, like the Smarty Highlanders fan, Al Nut 07, 3 crowns 1. Guys like that to have a cracking week to really take up that slack in behind. So looking for that to happen this season, or this weekend I should say, so someone else can take out the crown. Can't have it with Paul taking it, I tell you, can't have it with him. So further on down the leaderboard to see who else is one to watch out for. We've got last year's defending champ Caleb 42N sitting in 18th position. We have the Windspooner B Coventry, was doing very well in the low 20s, has dropped all the way down to 29th after picking up the wooden spoon in the last round 16 before the international games. Special mention though has to go to Taz 87, up 14 spots from 45th, that's right, below me, and Brett up to now 31st with the yellow cap. Well played, sir, and I know you reminded me on Steam exactly what you had accomplished the last round, and yep, I've got to do it. I've got to make special mention of your accomplishments, so I say well done, sir. Congratulations on the yellow cap, but you know what? You know what, good sir? You're not the only one with the yellow cap, are you? No, and I mean, it just doesn't work with headphones. Hang on, everyone, hang on. There we go. The yellow cap back on. I just forgot about it, but no. Sorry, Taz. You can't be the only one with a yellow cap. Up 14 spots, so well played, sir. And I'll share this one with you for the week as well. Moving on down the leaderboard, and yes, we talked about it in round 16 preview. Brett versus myself. The battle was on. And I can sadly report I've been the L in that one. I take it. Yep. Brett did me that weekend. He had a couple of really good results too, Brett. You absolute scummer. You really did have a good round that one, and you moved up only 2 spots. But really, it was probably a 3 or 4 point turnaround as well, as I dropped down to 41st, along with a few guys as well. Lions for Life, Mr. Big dropped down 7. Winard dropped down 2. I mean, we sit there on 74.75. Brett's up there on 76.08. So we need to topple this over Brett here and make sure that we do not let him beat us. So that's where they sit currently. I'm hoping for a big round this one, and I'm hoping for a shocker for Brett. If you're watching, Brett, bad luck, son, because we're gonna take it out. We're looking for the 20s here, son. So let's go further on down the leaderboard, and the rest of you can see where you all sit here into the 50s to 60s. Who's at the bottom? Well, it's a newcomer, famous YT. I mean, I'm not going to count him as a bottom place player because he's a newcomer. So Simmel is going to be the one to be pinpointed as the lowest place getter in the Super Rugby predictor. But that's a look at the SuperBru leaderboard. Congratulations, of course, to the yellow cap winner Taz87, and of course to our leader, the Driving Maul, aka Paul. Now let's go on to why we're really here. It is, of course, the predictions for the upcoming round of Super Rugby. Round 17, we've got 7 matches coming to you guys as well, and we have the Crusaders, obviously, with the bye heading into this round. So other than that, a full round of matches for this weekend, but a little bit different. I said it at the start. Yes, that's exactly what we're going to have. So, because this week I did join Paul and the Driving Maul on his channel for his Super Rugby preview show, and I was going to get him on to be my guest as well. I thought, why double dip? Why do it twice? Why not just do a little bit of a collaboration in the real world where we do one video and we share that information? So that's what we're looking to do here today. I'll cover over to Paul here following this, and he will be leading us through the 7 games. I'll be joining him, and of course we have another guest in the shape of Shane joining us for our thoughts and opinions as well. So we've got a triple header, 3 of us talking about it. So I hope you guys enjoy. Let me know your thoughts on the little format and how we've gone about it as well. Something we could see again in future. If you guys still enjoy it, we could do this yet again later on in the year and the season. Or next year, we'll keep the idea in mind as well. So your thoughts, comments below. Leave a thumbs up if you enjoy it. As always, hit that subscribe button if you do like the video. And I hope you guys do have a good weekend of rugby. And don't do too well on your picks because I want to climb that ladder. Brett, I'm looking at you. So enjoy the video, guys. And we'll see you all next week as well.
Hello and welcome to the Super Rugby Round 17 preview. And I've got the wrong screen. There you go. Let's go for that screen, which is just me. The other 2 can join in later. Yes, it's back Super Rugby. We have had our fill of international action over the last month. And all the players have returned to their provinces. Well, all the ones that aren't injured anyway, or the injured ones sat on the sideline. So yes, it's back to Super Rugby. That competition that you all love, or you love to complain about at least. And joining me this evening, it's a bit like getting the family back together. Or getting the band back together, old Blues Brothers style. Hi Shane, long time no talk.
Oh, how are you, Paul? It's good to be back. The band back together. So we're crowded house now, are we?
Or the Blues Brothers.
It's good to be back.
And Steve, good to say it's 2 nights on the trot after a bit of a quiet period, but yeah, we have you back again. So now I know Shane has only got 45 minutes before he has to go for dinner. But I know Steve, you'll be wanting to talk for about an hour and a half. So Shane will be here for the first half of the show, and Steve has managed to mute himself because I can see him laughing, but I can't hear him.
Oh, I'm still here.
Oh, you're still there?
Here.
Oh, good.
Still there.
I was trying not to overwhelm the audience with laughter to start us off. You know, try to start serious before everything goes off the rails later on. So, you know, probably looking about the 50-minute mark, we think it's going to go downhill as we talk about the last 2 games. But no, good to be back. I might have to push for a pay rise, I think.
Absolutely. I'll give you 100% pay rise. How's that
Sweet.
sound?
I'll be throwing the dollars, you know.
Cool. Anyway, as he said, welcome to Auckland, and the first game is in Auckland. Oh, did you like that segue? Brilliant. On the fly. You never know what it's going to say. The Blues host the Reds, and 2 sides that obviously have got colours in their names, and 2 sides that were supporters online here. Shane, obviously a Red supporter, myself a Blues supporter. And can the Blues get their... so, as the arbiter, Steve, can the Blues get their first home win of the season?
Here I was thinking I was going to sit this one out for the most part. I thought, yeah, I'll let you guys fight this one out. I'll just sit here with my mighty Highlanders and not worry about it. But jeez, put me on the spot already. Hey, I think this game we're looking at 2 teams that don't like to tackle and get muddy. So it'll be nice and rainy. And they'll have no choice but to get out there and get nice and muddy. Big thing, yeah, that's what I take out of this game. Looking forward to it. Our defensive records are terrible. I've been looking up a bit of stats on these games and these teams. I mean, you look at the points conceded by these guys, bar the Sunwolves, these are the two worst defensive sides for points conceded and for tries conceded. And, this game is going to be pretty much one team just trying to completely outscore the other one, not giving a care what the other one does when they got the ball. So I know that's the game of rugby, but I mean, normally teams like to focus a bit on defence. You're probably not going to see too much of that by either of these two teams. But so, I mean, Eden Park's got to be a little bit of an advantage for the Blues.
Sorry, Eden Park has got to be a bit of an advantage for the Blues as they haven't won there all season.
I'm trying to go for something for the Blues here to justify my prediction. So,
okay,
the
Reds
Reds
are
are
justify
terrible.
your prediction. Jerome Kano's final home game for the Blues before he goes to Europe. This will be his 137th cap for the Blues, equaling Tony Woodcock, become the joint second most capped player for the Blues ever, behind Kevin Mialamu. If the boys can't get up to support the Kano, who's also been dropped out of All Blacks contention after his little dalliance in Australia last year with a beauty queen. If they can't get up for a guy who can pull a beauty queen, then what will the Blues get up for? Basically,
Nothing. That won't make a lick of difference to them.
Oh, quite. Kano is Mr. Blues out of this lot. Everyone else has sort of not been around as long as him. So, you'd hope they would step up for him. The big problem I see for the Blues at this side is their back line. Right? Normally we talk about the forwards not being great, and they're not, let's be honest, the Blues. But this time we have a Blues back line. So at 12, Rieko Ioane with Michael Collins outside him. On the wings, Caleb Clark, Melani Nanai, and at fullback, Matt Duffy. So in that back line, we have 5 wingers trying to play across. Oh, let me rephrase that. 4 wingers and a fullback, and the fullback's playing in the centres. Trying to put together a back line. Yes, it's going to be fast and loose. There's not really much passing because I'm not sure any of them can pass. They all just like to run with it. So there'll be no passing, lots of running, and that's pretty much what I think we're going to see from the Blues. Shane, looking at the Reds lineup, a whole bunch of players back from the back from the Wallabies. So surely you're now stacked with internationals such as Brandon Paenga-Amosa, Tupu, Tui, and Karevi, and then also Timu on the bench. I mean, look, you're stacked with Wallabies. You've got to have a good chance, surely.
Well, the last 2 games, there's been a 25-all draw between the Reds and the Blues in Brisbane, and a 34-29 win to the Blues in Samoa that last year. So these games are pretty tight. And history shows that these games are pretty tight. There's only probably been 2 blowouts, one on either side, one in 96, one in 2003. Now, it's going to be, I won't say the greatest game I'm ever going to watch, but it's going to be interesting. It's going to be an interesting game of running rugby, I think. That's all they're going to do. They're going to, they're just going to run. Now, you talk about the back lines. John O'Lance is going to be playing at fullback again instead of his natural 10. So there's also a mixed back line at the Red. So, look, as I said, these 2 teams, when they play what's in front of them, and you're either going to get mashed potatoes or you're going to get a 5-star dinner at a restaurant that has a porterhouse steak that's better than the rest. So we'll see how it goes.
Mashed potatoes,
the Reds will
gravy,
be right.
and mushy peas. But talking about this Reds back line, and this is where these horrible tackling stacks come from. Nabuli loves to run with the ball. Yeah, a turnstile as far as defence goes. With Pataya on the other side, who again good with the ball, not defensively. Karevi in there at 13, who has been shown up at international level to be defensively questionable. I think it's a nice way of putting it. Both sides, unstructured, love to run it. Lots of, we could end up with basketball scores here of basically one side scoring, the other side scoring about 2 minutes later and just going back there, end to end stuff. I can't see it being, as you say, not particularly high quality rugby, but it should be exciting and tight. And I think it will be close, as you say, because neither of them can stop the other side from scoring.
Hey, I'd like to point out on this Reds team, though, I'm a fan of, Shane talked about there, Johnny Lance playing at fullback, a bit different, to that backline, how it operates. I'm a fan of that. Not because of Lance at fullback, because they've got Stewart at fly half, which I think that is something the Reds need to cultivate as that young kid and put him there where ultimately that's their future number 10. Johnny Lance is gone. And to be fair, he hasn't played that well. I mean, he is that experienced guy, but he's not really led this inexperienced backline that well. Why not give this rest of the season? It's dead, to them. There's not a huge amount for them to gain here except for experience. And then next season, he goes in with 10 caps to his name, rather than, 25 minutes off the bench over 6 games. So, that's a positive for me for the Reds. But, what you talk about the Blues, how the backline's not going to pass, I can't see much happening for that for the Reds either. You got guys that, can create stuff and do stuff, but as a unit, they're not going to be too much of a threat on each other's shoulder.
They're not. And John Lance looked pretty good, or helped the Worcester Warriors look good early last season, but that's when he's playing outside of, and I've gone blank as the Springbok scrum half come fly half. Sorry, scrum half come winger that plays there. That's the scrum half that used to play for the Bulls and also, but quite often was played on the wing rather than at scrum half. And he lots of tattoos, but then again, so many.
I know the guy you mean, Hogard. Hogard.
Yeah. So outside Hogard, he looks good because Hogard lets Hogard do what he wants to do, and he's a steadying presence. But without that experienced game maker inside him, John Lance isn't a guy to trigger a back line. He's good outside someone who can trigger a back line, but you're playing off your 9, not your 10 when you've got him there. He's there just to kick you around the pitch and rather than actually, you say, get them running. So yeah, it's better off back there than that. So. Anyway, so I've gone Blues by 3. Steve, you're trying to talk yourself into the Blues. By how many?
Yeah, I've gone Blues by 5. I think that's just going to sneak it. It's just that New Zealand team. I know we've all been punished too many times before the season picking the Blues because they fall into that New Zealand team category. But but big match, and I'm probably most excited about this game to see. I know it's not going to be a game that they'll probably play that well, but back rows that can be pretty punishing with ball in hand. So you look at Tui Smith and Higginbotham versus Kaino Gibson, not so much Gibson, but Ioane as well, who, he's under a lot of conversation, isn't he, throughout the year, but see if he can continue on some decent patches he's shown this year.
Yep, actually, yeah, Kerry could have a good game, and as you say, but George Smith and Scott Higginbotham will be looking to put their shoulders into him a few times, especially Higginbotham. He likes to, as captain, he likes to get red carded earlier in the season. We're late in the season now, so he's okay. So Shane, obviously you've seen us both go large with the Blues. We've both gone slightly Blues, not much confidence. Are you going for your Reds, or do you think the Blues are going to sneak it?
I think the Blues by about 7. I think that it's going to be a reasonable game in terms of points scored, but it's not. I just think that the Reds don't quite have that X factor yet. But certainly they'll give it a go. They'll be right.
No, yeah, I agree. They're still a young side, new coach, developing, etc. So definitely. But you're going bigger than both of us. Wow. Okay. I will be live after this game doing live post-match analysis or live post-match reaction. So do join me live on YouTube for that one. And after that, we then head down to Melbourne to a really important game in the Australia Conference. Second hosting first. Rebels versus Waratahs. Shane, why don't you kick us off on this one as to how you see this one going?
Going to be really fascinating to see how the Waratahs go without Hooper, who's been a mainstay with his injury, and the Rebels again without Genia due to another injury. And probably Israel Folau might be out of that game pending a late appeal on his one-game sentence.
He's been selected, so I don't think they're going to hear the appeal before the weekend. So hence, they'll hear the appeal next week. So he'll play this one, but may miss the one after, which is against the Sunwolves. Now, wouldn't that be a very convenient use of the appeal to make sure it's the correct game he misses? But anyway, not suggesting that this game being a top of the table clash is important to the Waratahs or anything.
Well, all I can say with our derbies on a Friday or a Saturday night is welcome to fight night, because that's all our derbies are. We like to do certain things that are a bit different to New Zealand derbies. We like to really get stuck in. And if that means that we bash the S out of each other for the 80 minutes to try and get some confidence into each other, then so be it. I note with very much interest Hodge is going to play at 10 tomorrow night. So I said when we previewed the Australian Conference that Hodge, I think, can play 10 in certain games, and I think he'll be made for that. Look, I'm going for a boil over tomorrow night. I think the Rebels can knock over the Tars.
Steve, Rebels knocking over the Tars, or no? Oh no, okay. No. Where are the Tars going to win it then? No.
Oh well, you talked about Reece Hodge, and that for me 9-10 is the big area that's going to decide this game. No, Guinea, we've seen it all season. He goes off, this team falls to pieces completely. If he was playing 60, 70 minutes, I'd probably say the Rebels would be in that game, depending what the situation was at the time when he goes off. If he went off, would he be playing? The hypothetical stuff, all this, it could be much different. But I haven't been too impressed with what I've seen with them outside of Guinea's time there. Number 10 is a huge problem for the Rebels. Debrasini, we know he's not up to scratch at all. They've biffed Hodge in there, and he's not really going to match up to a player like Foley, and I think that's an area they can really attack them through as well. And what I'm surprised they haven't done is given young Maddox a chance here, because we've talked about it all season long, so we hear about is how Maddox can play 10, Max can play 10, he's the future of Australian rugby. Surprised why we haven't seen that happen with this Rebels team. So, yep, going to be something there. I think that could really be a big deciding factor in this game. Also, a team with Kurtley Beale. We've seen in the Australian Test Series, Kurtley Beale is pretty much one of the best playmakers going around the globe at the moment. He can really make a chance happen completely. And of course, them just whatever they've done to get Israel Folau into this game is always going to be a big factor as well. But going to be interesting. Folau, Haylett Petty. That's a big battle, isn't it, for yellow jumpers later on if Dane wants to make his claim there. But no, I think overall quality throughout that squad in the Waratahs. We've seen they never fall behind another team too far either. They always, if they do trail, it's generally 7 to 10 points at most, and they're always within a chance of that final 10 minutes to take that lead with a scoring play or something just when they need to do it. So I suspect they'll be there or thereabouts throughout the whole game, and we'll probably push it away at the end.
Yeah, and this Tars team is full of wallabies, and we've got Kepu in the front row, Rob Simmons. Okay, maybe not everyone's first choice as a second rower, but hey, Ned Hannigan. Okay, he's only got 25 caps, but he's a wallaby as well. So the entire front eight pretty much are all pretty experienced, except for Will Miller, who hasn't had much time behind Hooper, obviously. And then you come into the backs. Nick Phipps, 69 caps, obviously a wallaby. Bernard Foley, 100 caps. And then Kurtley Beale, 123 caps, which you say that whole decision-making group there are all very experienced. Okay, we're not all fans of Nick Phipps as a player, but hey, at this level, he can do a job. And then you got Naravoro, Rona, Clark, and Foley. Folau in that back group. Cam Clark is definitely a future Wallaby, and the others all are as well. Actually, I'm not sure Rona has made it into Wallabies yet, but
yes, he has.
He has. So they're all yeah. So apart from Cam Clark, who's a future Wallaby, that's an entire Wallaby back line. You look at the Rebels, and it's very different, isn't it? You see, Ruru and Hodge are not going to boss a game in the same way that Phipps and Foley can. And then, whilst Billy Mix, I think, got called up, he definitely does not have the experience of a Beale. Tom English, decent player and all, but not the sort of same level. Corabetti, Maddox, Dane Hillett-Petty, a decent back three, but again, perhaps not with the same. They got found out in Sydney against Folau in the air when Folau's on the wing. Expect something pretty similar to happen this weekend. I expect a barrage towards Jack Maddox, to be honest with you. And then also the player we've not actually even mentioned yet in the Rebels pack is Coleman. The captain is missing as well. Now, fine, Genia is really the leader here, but to also have lost the captain as well. They're definitely short of leadership in this side. To have Jeff Parling as your vice captain, who's pretty new into this team, doesn't really fill you with a lot of confidence, I don't think. So, whilst Shane, you think the Rebels can do it, which is why I'm only going to go Waratahs by 5. I think it's going to be within a score, but I think Waratahs have got the experience to get them over the line. How, Shane?
Well, you still got a glitter strip of backs in that game tomorrow night. I think it's a battle of desperation, and Australians get desperate even if it's the last couple of biscuits on the table during a smoko break. So I actually think the Rebels will be a bit desperate here, and at home I think the Rebels by 1. It's going to be a fight of the fittest. It's going to be a survival of the fittest, and it's going to be Australian rugby at its finest.
And unfortunately, because we got the cropped images, we didn't see your air quotes there on the video. But this as you say, tight margin. This is going to be a real nail biter. So don't cut your nails before this one, folks, because you'll chew them off anyway. Steve.
I mean, it's going to have to take the Rebels to play their best game of the season, and it's going to take the Waratahs to play their worst game of the season for effectively thereabouts for this to really be a boil over, I think, which, I mean, who knows, it's possible. First game back after international break. I mean, this is the time that teams to get disjointed, or a team like the Rebels can completely find themselves together. Further on, I mean, statistically wise in this game, big thing I think also is going to hurt the Rebels is goal kicking. Yes, they've got Hodge who can smash them, but when the team's kicking at just over 60% for the season, they'll even points out in the field, which, I mean, you can't afford to do at any stage of the year. And you're playing against a team, the Waratahs, who lead line breaks. And then you've got the Rebels, who are second on missed tackles. That, to me, recipe for disaster for the Rebels, and it's going to be a away win for the Waratahs. I'm going by 4 points.
4 points, so in between the two of us. And then we get to sleep, have a bit of a sleep, and then head over to Fiji. Some nice weather for these boys after because it is freezing in New Zealand at the moment. In fact, I've got to take my fingerless gloves off. But so the Highlanders hosting a home game in Fiji. I mean, they're going to have to play outside. Steve, can they cope with this at home?
Well, I mean, it should hopefully be like it's inside anyway, shouldn't it? It should be nice and sunny, good weather, flat ground, obviously, but it should be dry ground, nice to run on, that sort of thing. So, I mean, hopefully it shouldn't be too much of a change. I mean, isn't it weird how Otago sides, Highlanders, Otago, and the NPC are teams that normally you would give credit to being a side that can adapt to the poor weather because they plan it all the time, and if it's raining, it's going to play into the hands of the Highlanders. Those days are quite long gone, aren't they? It's almost the opposite now of them playing in the indoor stadium. So, I think this is probably going to be a test for them to see what they can do, but it should be nice and sunny, nice and fine. Odd to take a home game over there, but it's great for the Islanders, to get some Super Rugby back over in that part of the world as well. I mean, big for the Highlanders here. They need to keep winning. They really need to keep winning to keep up pressure, to keep up their place on the leaderboard. They need to make the most. There's a lot of talk about Lima Sopawanga this season and how it's going to hurt the Highlanders when he leaves. So a lot lying on this season here for the Highlanders. They got all the big guns there. Smiths have gone straight back into the team. It looks just like they haven't stopped. And the Highlanders, surely I'd like to see them push on very, very abruptly after the international break, hopefully. Fingers crossed.
I mean, the only player missing is Liam Squire. A bit surprised to see that the other Smith isn't on the bench as the backup fly half. It's always good to get 3 Smiths on the pitch when you can basically it makes it easy. The commentator, Smith, pass it to Smith, and Smith scores. Yay!
It's a bit odd that they've gone with Ioane in that role over the last few weeks. I'm not sure if Fletcher Smith is actually injured, given that they've gone with Ioane. But yeah, it's easy or confusing. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, maybe confusing is a better word. But yeah, Fletcher Smith, I say, isn't on the injured list. Liam Squire's the only person on the injury list. So yeah, the Highlanders have got a full squad at the right part of the season. And then, Shane, we have the Chiefs missing Brody Retallick, one of your favourite players.
Damn. Well, he's still out with injury, obviously. He didn't play in the Test series, but firstly, echo Steve's sentiment. It's fantastic to see the Islands get this game. I think it'll be a pretty even game. I'm looking forward to the battle of the forwards here. And I think even in the humidity, it will be a bit of a battle of attrition. No more biscuit quote here, but it's certainly going to... I think, whichever forward pack takes a scrap, whether it's the bones or the meat on the bones, is going to win the game. And I love New Zealand derbies. They are won because the team that wins it is going to have an all-round game. And I'm a bit biased because I love the South Island of New Zealand. So I'm going with the Southern Priders here. Going with the Highlanders.
I mean, the Chiefs got most of their players back now. Brody Retallick's one of the few that's missing. Webb and McKenzie are going to be the fulcrum with Charlie Artai at 12 again. It's nice to see him in the centres rather than playing at fullback. In Sean Wainui, Pulu and Solomon Alimalo, pretty inexperienced back three, but lots of pace to burn to go up against Lee, Smith, and Naholo. So yeah, whichever team can ignite, whichever force can give themselves a bit of front football, these back lines can, both of them can wreak havoc. Let's be honest. And the Chiefs also need this win, to be honest, because they're fourth in the New Zealand Conference, sixth in the overall ladder. There is the outside chance of the Sharks catching them and dumping them out of the top, out of the playoff places. It is an outside chance, admittedly, but the Chiefs do need the points a bit more than the Highlanders do, because that's what because the Highlanders aren't going to get caught. They're going to make the playoffs. It's just a matter of who they play against, because they're not going to top the conference. Really, let's be honest. So that's what it really comes down to. And I'm a bit surprised to see that Sean Stevenson's on the bench and hasn't got more game time this season. But that's just a personal thing. I'm also back in the Highlanders. I've got the Highlanders by 5. What's your margin, Shane?
5 as well for the Highlanders.
Steve?
I think...
sorry. Go on, Shane.
I just think there's something that the Highlanders have got, the Chiefs haven't got this year. And I just think it's that all-round game and the ability to finish off certain games. So go the Highlanders.
I like that.
If it's scrappy, then having someone like Mackenzie in there could turn the table the other way. But let's see. Go on, Steve. What's your?
Well, I mean, there's plenty of mouth-watering matchups in this game, isn't there? I mean, Sopawanga versus Mackenzie, Thompson and Walden versus Leonard Brown and Ngatai, and just the pack. I mean, Kane and Messam up against likes of Dixon and Whitelock. It's like the gone and the future and the past, kind of mixing and matching in these two sides to battle it out. But what I'm kind of disappointed about in this Chiefs team is that they've got Ali Mano at fullback. I really like the look of him as a winger, and I think future-wise, he has a potential, currently of what we've seen, to be in for further honours the way he's played this season as a winger. Fullback, a bit iffy on the 15 jumper, but ultimately, yeah, I'd throw him in there and get rid of Wainui and chuck someone else at fullback. And the other thing I was going to mention, Tahurirangi on the bench after being this, future All Black, all this, talk about getting him in the camp and that, and then Brad Weber starts the game after the breaks. Who knows what's going on? The Chiefs headquarters up there. Anyway, I'm going pretty similar to you guys. Highlanders are by 6.
Oh, in between the two, and they should be a cracker. This is one of possibly the game of the round, really. So yeah, definitely want to be watching. I will again be doing live post-match reaction to this game as well. So dial in for that. Afterwards, we head over to Canberra for the Brumbies versus the Hurricanes. The Hurricanes without a Brody Retallick or Fafita, both still out with concussion by the sounds of things.
Wrong team.
Sorry, go on, Steve. Sorry.
Oh, Retallick plays for the Chiefs. What are you talking
sorry.
about?
I mean, Bowden Barrett or Fafita.
And Fafita, and of course the new English superstar import as well, not playing. So no Shields in their side either.
Yeah, he was sick. That's why he missed the last England test.
That's why. I mean, he's getting soft already. He's been in 3 weeks and he's already getting soft. Goodness me. Just stay there.
What, in South Africa?
Okay. Just wherever. I don't mind. Let's move on. I'm about this. If a player decides to move away, you move away. I was pretty hard on this last year with likes of Carvalho. He'll keep going on All Blacks tours at the end of your tour when he's going away. It's like he's gone. Move on. Who cares? I mean, it's not game breaking. Shields is going. I mean, yes, give him a bench appearance in his last game and play him off there. Just use him fleetingly. But it's time to move on. Look to the future. And so I'm not too fussed that he's not there either. But yeah, well, Barrett's going to be the huge loss for the side.
Stop you right there on this one.
Okay.
At the All Blacks level, I agree. I think, especially as your third choice scrum half on tour, they should have taken someone who they were developing, or at least to give them exposure to the culture, rather than take Carvalho. In this situation where the Hurricanes are trying to get themselves another title, you play your best team. And if your best team is Shields, you play Shields because you're trying to win a title here. You're not trying to develop for a Rugby World Cup. You're trying to win a Super Rugby title. And so don't worry about development in the future. It's about trying to win now. So I disagree on that one.
Fair enough, but I mean, you've got to develop for next season and the season after, and you've got to keep on continuing to develop. I mean, Hurricanes have pretty much got their playoff spot booked as well. If you're saying the Highlanders are clean in a way, the Hurricanes are more and by far clean in a way as well. So, it's don't get rid of him completely, but I just wouldn't rely and depend on him as much as they have been over the season, though. So, but yeah, big players, big losses for the side. But I mean, it's freakish when you lose those names and you can still put out a back line with Laumape, Barrett, Sevilla, Lamb, Milner, Scudder, Perenara. I'm not going to talk about Garden Bishop. But it's seen a back line that's capable of just destroying other teams. And I mean, the Brumbies are at home, which is a bit of an advantage to them. But I've already talked about this at the point with the Rebels. Goal kicking, my God, woeful. Brumbies have had a nightmare of goal kicking as well. And along with the Rebels are the two worst sides in the competition with it. So, Lele Afano, as much as I love the guy, I love his story, it's the only Australian player I'm actually a fan of, because he's kind of, I don't know why it is, but I just am. I just wish he'd play a bit better, and he could lead that side a bit more. So I'm hoping for big things for him. But the Brumbies are going to need to play out their skin, and the Hurricanes are going to have that nightmare round 1 of 2017 again to see a result go the way of the home team.
So yeah, I mean, Interesting to see Leofano at 10. I thought they decided he was better at 12 with Harua at 10, but they've gone back to him at 10 again, and Godwin, who is leaving, as we just said, don't rely on leaving players, back in at 12. Do the Brumbies even know their best side, Shane?
Well, look, in their 6 wins last year, which was enough to win the Australian Conference, so they won't win it this time, but they were very competitive in every game, and one of the reasons was Joe Powell at 9, a Wallaby, and Whanui Harua at 10, the boy from Southland. I've got to say it, I love Southland, from my Kentucky trips. But in all honesty, if you want a pure 10, considering Australian rugby doesn't have a pure 10 anymore, the last one was their former coach in Larkham, but Harua.
Oh, hang on. Whoa.
Harua.
Cooper was an out-and-out 10. There's no way he could play anywhere else.
Except on defence.
Yeah, but that's another story for another time. No Reds fan. But to me, Harua, and nothing against Christian Leilifano, I think is more of a natural 12 and a very good 12. Harua had a brilliant year last year. He proved it against the Sharks with those 3 long-range penalties, and his kicking game is a little bit more accurate in general play. So I think that they've made a very ill-fated decision, but he's got another year on his contract, so, I don't think you're right. I mean, I think you're right, Paul, that the Brumbies just don't know who to pick and who's going to just get them the right result, because I don't think they're going to get that result on Saturday night regardless.
No, neither do I. I mean, they're going to need a massive game from Pocock and Nazarani to have any hope in this one, just to try and just slow down that breakdown ball, and also Kuzak as well. Otherwise,
I do want to say that Pocock was absolutely immense during the Island series. He was definitely Australia's best.
he was.
You're right.
It's what he does every game. He's a great player, but they're going to really need to slow down that ruck ball. If the Hurricanes are allowed quick ruck ball, this is going to blow out big time. They're going to have to slow that down. I'm going to assume that they can slow it down, and I'm going to put the Hurricanes only by 10. I've got a funny feeling I'm going to be the smallest margin. But Steve, how big are you going?
It's interesting, isn't it, when you look at you talk about Pocock and the pack in this team. You look at what the Hurricanes have come up on the other side. They're going for a pretty big pack, especially the second row, Feli Lofa and Lausey. Big guys, and I think they're going to be doing a lot of back row work in that second row, especially around the general field, to combat the work that Pocock's going to do, because, as I say, he's a phenomenal guy that can, he can decide games ultimately by himself if he's allowed to. So that's going to be, how they combat that is going to be key to this game. I think the Brumbies overall have been hamstrung this season by key players in their back line not performing. Like, what on earth has happened to Tavita Kurandrani this season? I mean, he was almost first name on a Wallaby team sheet, especially a backline player. And he has been woefully bad this season. Henry Spate, I mean, such a destructive player, far below his best this season as well. So unless they drastically turn things around, it's going to be pretty much like you guys say, what that back row of the Brumbies can do to slow down that ball. I'm going 13 for the Hurricanes.
That's relatively small for you, but a bit surprised. Shane?
I'm getting old.
Look, if they can...
You're less risky nowadays. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Sorry, Shane.
Look, if the Brumbies can slow down the ball and then get Kurandrani to crash it up the middle and Spate to run down the wing and push a few blokes over and, just like a builder on a construction site and push the timber out of the way, and it's just not going to happen for the Brumbies, and I'm going to go, it's over by half time, and I think the Hurricanes by 20.
Yeah, that's
at the bare bit of them.
That could easily happen. We then head up to, we don't head up to Japan, do we? We head over to Singapore for some reason for a home game for the Sunwolves against the Bulls. Apparently, the squad are back in camp, according to Rich Freeman, but a number of Japan internationals are missing. So I'm not sure what kind of side the Sunwolves are going to put out. I've not actually seen their squad list, their squad announced yet for this game. But that's really concerning for me, because when they had all their players, they got a good couple of results. When those players went off to camp, we saw that the Sunwolves fell apart again. But those two games against the Reds and then against the Stormers in Tokyo and Hong Kong showed us that the Sunwolves could, when they got their best team out, they actually can play some rugby. And my assumption was that they would be there when I did my pick for this game, and unfortunately, and hence why I went for the Sunwolves by 3. But without them, it's going to be a bit of a stretch, isn't it, Shane?
Well, last year they beat the Bulls. They got the Bulls this week, haven't they?
Yep, Bulls.
Well, last year they beat the Bulls by 1. I think, I don't know if it was at Tokyo or Singapore. It was certainly an afternoon game. So it's not within their realms that they can't beat the Bulls, because they can. But the Bulls have a big forward pack. They have a reasonable set of backs. The tails will be up with the Springboks players in the Bulls side from their win over the Poms. Sorry, Paul. But I'm still going to say, in terms of the quality of the game, it's going to be like the Reds and the Blues. It's not going to be the game of the round, but I've still got the blankets out, and I'm still going to be very, very interested to watch a late night game from Singapore and see how some of these Springboks lads hold up from the England test. So I'm going to go the Bulls by 1 or 2. It's very, very interesting to see that they're resting some of the Japanese players.
Yeah, I was interested in that. And the Bulls have got two debutant locks, two debutant props on the bench, which is interesting to see. 2 guys with no caps. I'm not even bothered. I will give it a go. Matan Zimmer and Mornay Smith. Mornay Smith I can cope with. But
who's the hooker in that game, Paul?
What, on the bench or
on the bench? Yeah, I just can't quite read that.
Well, Edgar Maratulutui. Anyway, Edgar is
And the Bulls will want to finish on a high and send Adrian Strauss on a good note with his retirement too.
Yeah, it's really interesting that they've actually picked him as a non-playing replacement for this game. So yeah, he's there, but he's not been selected in the match day 23.
Disappointing.
So, surprising. And Pollard is captaining the side. So go on. Okay, Steve, go on. Give us your lowdown of the game after you've embarrassed me trying to pronounce names.
Oh, I enjoy it. I had no idea how to say them either, so I'm not going to be too smart. Hey, I think this game is going to come down to how the Bulls play, to what the Sunwolves actually offer this fixture. It's like you say, we can sort of see where this team's going to go with the Sunwolves. It's going to be full of the import players. It's going to be full of the guys probably will speak more English than any other language in the whole starting 15. So, if anything, that could possibly help them. But it's going to come down to the Bulls. And like talk about the Springbok players, I mean, this is going to come down to 8 men and Pollard and how they control it. You're going to get Jesse Krill playing the role of a 6, as he normally does, just barging on through everything he can. And ultimately, when you break down this Bulls team and look at the stats of how they play, make the least tackles in the competition. So to me, that tells me this team likes to hold on to the ball. They like to play position-based rugby, and that's something that is going to wear down the Sunwolves, a team that they like to attack and have the ball themselves and really be expressive in how they play. That's going to wear them down and tie them down against this big pack of the Bulls. South African packs is how they play. So that's going to be the big decider for me. But if the Bulls have a shocker, there's always a chance. And when they're going to Singapore, the Bulls, there's always a chance they could have a shocker.
So what's your prediction?
I'm going still for the Bulls, but I'm not so Shane. I'm going pretty close. Bulls by 3.
So I've gone Sunwolves by 3, the same as Christian in the chat.
Oh.
But that was before I knew that the Japanese were, or the Japanese internationals had been rested. I thought they could do a similar sort of job as they did to the Stormers up in Hong Kong. But especially after coming off the morale boosting win over Italy and getting that big win over Georgia, I thought they'd come back into camp with the tails up and push on. But maybe not. Have to wait and see. Then the next game, we don't have the lineups announced yet, but the Sharks hosting the Lions. Steve, Mr. Statman.
I've been doing my research, can't you tell? Must be
mate.
excited for Super Rugby to come back, eh? It's just back into the groove of club rugby, as you might call it. Hey, the Sharks and the Lions could be an interesting game, but again, you break down the stats of how the Sharks play. They make errors, they make mistakes, they throw away chances, and they throw away the ball. Lions, on the other hand, not been as good as past seasons, sure, but still one of the best teams in the competition. And generally, you can count them as a team that are going to take given chances. If you give them too many, they're going to put some away. And against South African opposition, the Lions generally play very, very well too, which is going to be a big factor for this. The Sharks, we've talked about it all season. Potential in the squad, potential and ability, players, the names, everything's there. They just can't put it on the field. It's been a story all season long. Until they clean up the mistakes, until they clean up the errors and get a bit more clinical, they are still going to struggle in this competition. And hopefully we see that, because this is a damn exciting team when they put things together. But the Lions, I think the Lions would just be a bit too professional, maybe not the right word, but just overall the whole team is probably going to be a bit more continuity with them and put the Sharks away.
Yeah, I mean, the Sharks have been the most disappointing team this season, haven't they, Shane? But I guess having had their halfbacks and stuff, not with the box, means that they've actually had a chance to maybe work on things during the international break.
Yeah, well, you're right about the Sharks being a hot and cold side. Particularly, excuse me, I'm under the weather a bit. 3 wins against the New Zealand franchises and a narrow loss to the Hurricanes. Struggled against the Australian conference sides. I think they only won 1. They drew 1 game out of the 4, I think. And they've been hot and cold in their own conference. So it's a battle, I guess, here of the Volvo car against the semi-trailer truck in the Lions. I think the Volvo car might sound very fancy and flash with the Sharks, and they've got some very they've got a very good back line, and they've got some good forwards. But you're looking at the Lions, who still lead the South African Conference. They haven't been as good as they were in the last 2 years, but I still think the truck's going to run over the Volvo car this time.
So by how many?
By about 10.
Oh, well, you mentioned those 2 years, and yes, the Lions haven't lost to a South African side in those 2 years. So I can't see that finishing this weekend, and I'm backing the Lions by 3. Which is we've got Christian by 4 in the chat. Steve, how are you? How many?
Yeah, I'm kind of ashamed to say this, but I've gone the same as you, Paul. Just too much attack in this Lions team. They lead points. They lead everything that's important about winning a rugby game and giving chances away. Like I said, Lions by 3.
Then the final game of the round, the Jaguares versus the Stormers. The Jaguares, who are just coming off the 3 losses, or 2 to the Wales and 1 to Scotland. Oh, sorry, no. The Pumas have lost 2 to Wales, 1 to Scotland, and lost their coach. Does this mean Mario Ledesma is now going to be the Pumas coach? We'll have to wait and see. But, yeah, it's a shame that they lost, went into the international break with massive amounts of momentum. And then seem to will they have lost all of that, or will they be able to pick it back up again? On the flip side, the Stormers have not won away from home all season. So, the stats, go on, Mr. Statman, say surely a home win, but yeah, what about momentum and and the international break messing all that up? What do you think, Steve?
Well, I mean, I don't think stats play too much of a part in this game, because you've got contrasting sort of sides, don't you? You've got the Jaguares, like you said, that's going to be huge about this game, is mental side of things. Huge form, amazing form coming into the international period, absolutely fell apart completely, like the massive scale. And then coming back to this, where is their headspace at? Is the environment such a different place at the Jaguares than it is with the Pumas? That could be something. Are they going to come back and go, well, thank God I'm back with Ledesma and the Jaguares? And that could be a morale booster in itself, just returning to that Super Rugby camp. Could possibly be. So that's going to decide it for the Jaguares. The Stormers, you summed up the Stormers for me all season, and when you said they haven't won an away game, but they've only lost 1 home game all season. So a force at home when Mummy's cooking the meals, but when they have to hit the road and go to the hotel B&B, I guess it's just not the same sort of thing, is it, for them? And going away, I mean, we've seen it all season. We've seen it since the Jaguares joined, really. A lot of teams don't like going to Argentina to play, and although they still can come away and scrape away a victory, it is a bit of an impactful thing, like South Africa coming to New Zealand, Australia, vice versa the other way. It has that same sort of impact as well for all the teams going there. So I can't see the Stormers changing that in any way. This season is marred by that away record, which is going to hurt them. But I do hope that the Jaguares are back. They're back and they just carry on smooth sailing. That's what I hope for. And it'll be a great story to have them in the playoffs. That's the dream, I think, for most Super Rugby fans that don't have whatever team they support eye patch on fully in the way.
So Shane, I know your dinner's getting cold. We hope you.
Yeah, that's all good.
So your thoughts on this one? Are you again the Stormers can't travel and the Jaguares, we hope, that have not been too hampered by the Pumas? Is it the same story or some different thoughts?
I'm going to go a bit different here. And I'm going to say the Stormers are going to get on that jet plane and they're going to land there and they're going to get stuck in with that mobile forward pack and their very quick backs. And I think the Argentinian lads had 3 very winnable games, and I know they're test matches compared to Super Rugby, but I think the Stormers, I think the tails will be up. I genuinely think that this is worth getting up in the morning, in the early hours of the morning, and watching. And I am going to be totally intrigued at the mindset of the Argentinian lads coming back from their test series, and hoping that the Wallabies can actually win a couple of games in the Rugby Championship against them later on. But look, I'm going for the Stormers here. I really just think they'll bring that mobile game.
Wow.
I think
I'm shocked, but no, great to have a different opinion. I just think they're.
Why 4?
Pardon?
Why about 4?
By about 4, okay. I've gone the Jaguares by 5, just purely because I would have gone bigger, in all honesty, if they had a better international window. But I was concerned by their mindset as they come back in, and also how fatigued are they going to be now, as well, on top of all of that. And the Stormers, but for me, the Stormers just can't travel. When they've not got their mummies cooking, they throw their toys out the pram. And yeah, I don't know why, but that's just how I see it. Steve, which way are you going to flip, and by how many?
Yeah, no, I'm with you, Paul, on this one. I agree. I agree with what Shane says completely. I do like the Stormers pack. I like the Khaleesi's and players like that. I rate very, very highly. It's enhanced their reputation in the international window as well, being a very, very good player at that level. But it's not player specific here. It's something in the top 2 inches of the mind, isn't it? It's just 100% mental. And this is what this game is going to be to me. It's who has the mental fortitude to actually pull off this win. I could easily see the Stormers winning this if the Jaguares come out like the Pumas. If that happens, then yeah, I could see that upset happening. But I do think environmental change has to be a factor in this team, because you don't go in a massive, great piece of form like that and then just completely flop like they did. So for that, I'm going Jaguares by 5.
Cool. Thank you, boys. That brings us to the end. Hayden says if the Bulls don't travel too well, then the Sunwolves should have a good chance of winning. Yep, and that's basically kind of what we're saying. The Bulls do have a history of not travelling well, but they do now have a Kiwi coach, which does kind of change things a little bit. I think he's improving how they do travel. But please all hit the like if you enjoy the show, and if it's your first time here, don't forget to subscribe. Steve, why don't you let people know where they can get hold of you and see your wonderful content as well?
Yep, well, it should be right there. You can find me on Twitter, nicely there somewhere. I don't know whereabouts it is. Find me on Twitter there. Same words go for YouTube. Cornflakes Crib's a place to be. We've got all sorts of gaming stuff. We've got rugby predictions and thoughts like this as well. The preview show, everything going on for rugby and gaming as well. So come say hello, join us, and don't forget to hit 2 subscribe buttons tonight on your way.
And Shane, how can people get hold of you to a quick chat about rugby during the week?
At SCOOLMate on Twitter. It's Coolmate on Twitter. Yeah, if you want to talk rugby, go for it. I'm ready for a chat.
And I say, I'm back doing post-match reaction to the Blues versus the Reds and the Highlanders versus the Chiefs. Do enjoy whatever rugby you're watching this weekend, folks.